Hello class, welcome to Lab 2 installing Ubuntu. Um, this is a typo here. It's supposed to say Ubuntu 24.04 for M series Macs. So definitely missing something there. But yeah, welcome to lab number 2. In this lab, we are going to be installing Ubuntu 24.04, the server edition, and then we're going to put on top of that the graphical desktop environment to make it a desktop operating system essentially. Um, One thing that I want to mention is that I am aware that VirtualBox 7.1 has a beta version for Mac, and I installed it, as you can see over here. Oops, sorry. Let me go. There you go. I installed it. I created a virtual machine. I tested it. I've been testing it all weekend, but sometimes I get good results. Other times it's very inconsistent. The virtual machine just gives me bugs in between the installation and it doesn't work well. Other times the installation goes fluently. I get to do a couple of laps and then something catastrophic happens and the virtual machine is unusable. At this point, I cannot recommend this because I don't want you to invest your time into an application, then doing the virtual machine, and then in the middle of the semester, something bad happens, and now you just have to recreate a new VM all over again. I just can't recommend this at the moment. So we're gonna wait for other updates to this version of VirtualBox before we migrate to this. So as of today, September 15, 2024, we're still going to be using UTM for virtualization in Mac computers with M series CPUs. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to continue with the video now that the information has been given away. This is going to be a series of 8 steps. I'm going to be giving timestamp in the description of the video for each and every one of the steps, just in case you don't want to watch in a specific section or you just want to skip straight to a section after you have any questions. So let's go ahead and go to the notes section. This is going to work on an M1, M2, or M3 CPU. Currently, I'm using an M3 CPU. You need macOS Sonoma. Um, RAM 16 gigabytes. We works with 8, by the way. I have done this lab in an M1 Mac with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it works just the same. So it's fine. And then I am assuming a couple of things about you. I assume that you can follow instructions, that you know how to use your MacBook computer, and that you more or less understand the hardware in your computer and the reason why you're using this program rather than VirtualBox. And with that said, let's move along to step number 1. So for step 1, we're going to download the hypervisor and the server file. So to download UTM, just go to this link over here. To download the ISO file of Ubuntu Server for ARM, just go to this link over here. So to download the ISO file, click on download, then save. Do not open the ISO file, just download the file. It will be used as is. Let me close this. To download UTM, click on download, install the program, give the program the necessary permissions, and then launch the application. This is not different from any other application that you have installed in your computer. Again, download the file, run the file, give it whatever permission it needs, and then move on. So I'm going to close this. Once you finish doing this part, move along to step number 2. Now we're going to put this side by side. So let me open UTM real quick. I believe I have it open already. Yes, I'm going to go full screen here. And I'm going to put this side by side so that we can follow the instructions here. So step 1, launch UTM. Done. Do the create new virtual machine. Create new virtual machine. Here we have 2 options. We are going to use virtualize because we're using an ARM version of Linux. Now select Linux. Over here, you are going to click on browse. You're going to select the ISO file of Ubuntu server, then click on open. Over here, you're going to click on continue. The amount of RAM is 4096 or 4096 megabytes or 4 gigabytes. The number of CPU cores is 2, and we're going to go with 2. And now we're going to click on continue here. The storage size here is x64, but we can do with 50. So we're just going to do 50 here. So click on continue. We're not going to use share directories, so click on continue again. Let's do a couple of edits here. So the name of the VM is gonna be Ubuntu Desktop because later on we're gonna create a server too. Obviously not right now. We are gonna do that towards the end of the semester. So click on save and notice that the settings open over here, which is good because there are a couple of things we want to do. First of all, in the notes section, we're gonna create three things. First of all, the host name. Host name means the name of our computer. This is gonna be CIS 106. These are just notes for us. The username. The username is gonna be whatever username you wanna pick. I'm just gonna pick my initials, but you can pick whatever, even Platano 123. I don't particularly mind. Just make sure you remember. And now the password. Again, I'm gonna pick something simple. Why? This is a testing environment. We don't wanna do complicated passwords here because if we forget this password, we're gonna have to start all over again, and that is not fun at all. So again, simple password. System, anything that needs to be changed here? No, nothing needs to be changed here. We're gonna go to display. This is fine. Network, here we're gonna change from share to bridge. And we're gonna set this to automatic and everything as is. I recommend bridge here because it works better than share network, and it also works better than VLAN. So bridge gives me the least amount of problems, so I'm gonna select bridge. Be aware that if you are doing this lab while you are in the college, you might have problems connecting the virtual machine to the internet, and you're gonna have to go back from bridge to emulated, right? Or shared. Again, that is possible to happen. There is some sort of limitation in the school's network, so keep that in mind. If you're doing this at home, I definitely recommend bridge here. In my case, because I have other software running in the background in this virtual machine, bridge is the only setting that works for me. I repeat, if you have any problems connecting the virtual machine to the internet, you are gonna need to switch this from bridge to other settings and vice versa. You're gonna have to play around with this. So we're gonna click on save, and now we simply click on start. And that's it. That's step number 2. Let me move this to the side. Now we're gonna go to step number 3, which is installing Ubuntu server. You can follow this guide over here if you want. If you want to pause the video and just follow this guide, that would be fine. This guide was made with VirtualBox on Windows, but it's the same as for Mac because this is the server installation. The platform doesn't really matter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go full screen over here, and we're gonna do 1, 2, and 3. So just gonna move this to the side here. Okay. Okie dokie. Select your language. Press enter here to select. Press enter here to select done. We are installing Ubuntu server, so done. If your virtual machine gets an IP address here, you are good. If you fail to get an IP address here, right, then there is a problem, and you need to turn off the virtual machine and go play around with the network settings. Alternatively, right, DM me in a Slack and we can troubleshoot this together. I understand that the networking part can be a little bit tricky. Again, press enter here from done. Wait until the mirrors are tested. I'll tell you when to click done. 1, 2, 3, boom. When it says fetch whatever, reading package list, here you can press done already because it's done. In this window, we are gonna deselect set up this disk as an LVM group. Again, we're gonna deselect this. Make sure that you do not select LVM groups because this might give you problems later on. So again, we're gonna use the arrow keys or the tab key, move all the way to done, click on done here, continue over here, and now we're gonna put in our information. Remember what we type on notes? That's what we're gonna type here. So my name, I like to put my username for my name because it keeps it simple. Server name, CIS 106, that's the host name that I selected. Username, same one as before. Password, same password that I type in my notes, right? Something simple that I know I'm gonna remember. Press on done, We're not going to use Ubuntu Pro. Yes, we will install SSH server, but we're not going to do any configuration. And we're going to click on done. Here it's going to ask you, hey, these other services are available, normally installing servers. We don't need none of that at all. So just going to press tab to move to done and then enter. This will take from 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to pause the video recording, and once this installer is done, I will come back to this. Again, it will take 10 to 15 minutes stop. Okay, I am back here. When you see that the screen says reboot now, it means the installer has completed this process. So I'm going to click back in here, and I'm going to select reboot now. Press enter, and we're going to let it reboot. There is another screen that will appear before the machine can completely turn itself off. Let me see. Nope. Okay. Well, we want to wait until the machine comes back on. This might take a while, so don't freak out if it's taking longer than expected. Okay, so this is taking a sweet time, so we're gonna force it. So let's go here. I'm going to unzoom this. There you go. On maximize it is. And I'm just gonna click on off. Click on off. Good. Now, I am gonna make a mistake on purpose here. I'm gonna turn this computer on again, and you're gonna notice something unexpected, let's say. So let's play. And you might wonder, but wait, hold on. Wasn't this the first screen that appeared when we started the installation process? And you will be right. This is because the virtual DVD drive that contains the ISO file booted the operating system installer one more time. Now we need to remove that disk from the virtual machine to prevent this from happening so that we can actually go to our installation. So we are going to turn this off again. I'm going to back here, and then I'm going to click on edit. And where are you? Where are you? System, maybe in system. Okay, let's go to the quick version then. Right over here, CD-ROM, clear, done. Now, start the virtual machine again, and you're gonna notice that we're gonna see a very different screen from what we saw a couple of seconds ago. I'm just gonna go full screen again, and this is what we want. So here, we're gonna type our username and then our password. So here is my username and now my password. Notice that I typed, but nothing appeared on the screen. This is expected behavior. That is a security feature. Press enter, and if you type your password correctly, you will be presented with this screen. If you type your password incorrect, it's just going to tell you your password is incorrect, and it's going to ask you for your password for your username and password one more time. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is install and update. Now, until this point, you're probably familiar with operating systems that have graphical interfaces, like Windows, for instance, where if you want to update, you click on a couple of places and it does the update for you. Now, this is a server operating system, which means we need to interact with it using the command line. So to install an update, we do sudo apt update. This is gonna fetch our update, meaning it's gonna refresh the sources, it's gonna make sure that check, okay, this package needs installation, this package can be upgraded, this one doesn't, and so on. Now the second command that we're gonna type is a command for upgrading. So we're gonna do sudo apt upgrade, and this will install then the upgrades that are available for our system. So I'm going to press enter here, and let's read for a second. These are the packages that have updates pending right here. It says 21 can be upgraded. This is going to take 8 megabytes of space, right? 53.2 kilobytes of additional disk space will be used. Do you want to continue here? And you say, yes, I want to continue, and press enter. And that's it. This will download the update and install it in our system. So we're gonna give it a second to this. And that's it. It's a very small update. The operating system is fairly recent. Now that we've done this, we're gonna do a clear, just gonna clear the screen, right? And let's make sure that the snap services are installed and that they are running. They should be, because this is a server environment. So we're gonna do sudo apt install snap. Okay, now let's see sudo, sorry, systemctl status. This is for checking if a particular service is running in the background. Snapd is the snap services. We see that it's enabled, perfect, and we know it's running. So we are good here. Again, this is a server operating system. It should have a snap running, no problem, because that's what Ubuntu was. That's what Canonical invented snaps for. So let's clear here and let's do sudo apt install Ubuntu Desktop. This will install the desktop environment of Ubuntu Desktop into our server operating system, into our server virtual machine, which is what we want because we want to use this as a desktop computer, not as a server. So press enter here, and this is going to tell us, hey, I need 2 gigabytes of additional space for performing this installation. All of those lines you see over here are the packages that are going to be installed in our system. This is going to take within 10 to 25 minutes, more or less. There might be an error here and there, hopefully not, because there is a lot of packages being installed. But even if there are any errors, we have ways of dealing with them. So let's press Y and enter. By the way, you can just simply press enter here because Y is capital, so that's the default option. But we're going to talk about that when we do the lecture on installing software in Ubuntu. So I'm going to pause the installation here, the video recording here, and I'll be back with you once I get a different screen rather than this fetching and installing. Okay, the installation has completed. So now that we have installed the desktop environment, actually, I did the step 4. This is step 4, installing the desktop environment. Interesting. I just read over in the installation here, the installation guide. So let's move along and reboot our system. You can do reboot. Actually, I'm gonna do sudo reboot just in case there are any processes in the background, so they can be killed completely. Okay, this is Ubuntu's display manager or login screen. Here, tap in, click on your username, then click on password and type in your password. Okay, dokie, this is our welcome presentation. Click on next, skip Ubuntu Pro. If you want to share information, you can share. This is anonymous data about the virtual machine to help their team. I am going to click on yes because I want things to improve, and I'm going to click on finish. Okay, so now that we did that, let's open Firefox. The first time that you open Firefox, it takes a little bit. So let's click that and let's go to CIS 106. Perfect. Now here, we're gonna go back to our instructions. So we're gonna go straight to step 4. We already did this part. Now, this here is for disabling animations, right? So if you wanna disable animations, you can. This is optional because, you know, these computers are pretty good. These Mac CPUs are pretty good, so we don't really need to do that. Again, this is optional. You don't have to do it. I'm gonna skip it. Let's go ahead and move to step number 5, where we're going to be installing some essential applications that we are going to need. So first of all, we need to install curl. So I'm going to open a terminal. I'm going to put mine systems side by side. Okay, I did this by doing control left arrow, control right arrow. You can move applications from right or left. Right, so here we're gonna type the first command, which is this one here. So sudo apt install curl, which should be installed already, because it's already, yeah, it's already installed. It's installed by default on the server version of the operating system. And now we're going to download this script file here. Again, you can copy the command and paste it. Give me 1 second, please. And I'm back. And press enter. Now, this downloaded the script file and placed it inside this file. Now, we're going to change the permission on the file so that it can be executable, meaning it can be run as a program. And now we're going to run the script like this. Again, period / E, and then I tab for auto completing the command. Press enter. And now let it just do its thing. This should take like about 5 to 8 minutes, more or less. It's going to install all of the programs you see over here. These are all applications we're going to need later on in the semester. Okay, the script finished installing all of the programs. Let's see if there were any errors, and no, every program installed successfully. Now let's remove that script by typing rm es and then tab. That's it. Let's clear our screen again using the clear command. And now let's move along to installing VS Code. Again, I'm just going to copy the first line here, and I'm going to paste it here in my terminal, and I'm going to press enter. Now I'm going to change the permissions on the file, again, chmod +x, and then the name of the script file, and now I'm going to execute the script file. There you go. VS Code has been installed successfully. No error message were thrown. Now let's remove that script file because again, we do not need that in our computer because we finished. Now let's install Ubuntu restricted extras. Copy the command, paste it in the terminal, and then hit enter. This shouldn't take long because it's not a big of a program. So when you receive this screen, just like you see on the video here, press the tab key, press the space bar to OK, move to the yes position, space bar again, and move on. Okay, now that we did a step number 5, we're gonna move along to a step number 6, where we're gonna install Gnome screenshot tool. This is the screenshot application that we will use throughout the semester because it's a bit more flexible for our need than the default screenshot application. So again, we're gonna clear our screen, and then we're gonna install Gnome screenshot. The command is the one over here. You can just select by double clicking, copy, and then pasting. And that's it. Now, one thing that I want to do is that I'm going to do a little cleanup of whatever packages were left behind. So I'm going to do sudo apt clean here before I continue, and then sudo apt auto clean. You don't need to do this at all. As you can see, it didn't return nothing, so we're good. Now we're going to set up a Gnome screenshot. Let me open the settings tab. You can click on the top right corner and then click on settings. And then here we're gonna, let me just put it on the side so that you can see the instructions while I do it as well. So we're gonna scroll down to keyboard. In the keyboard section, we will scroll down to view and customize shortcuts. Here again, we're gonna scroll down to custom shortcuts. Here we're gonna click on add shortcut, and the name of the shortcut is over here, Gnome screenshot. And the command is Gnome screenshot space -I as in island, right? Then we're gonna click on set shortcut. Now you're gonna click or select in your keyboard, you're gonna press the keys that are gonna trigger this screenshot application once you press them. I like Control, Command, S. Again, Control, Super, S, or command, the super key is the command key on your computer. Control super S. That's what I like. You can pick any other combination you like. And if you have a dedicated print screen key on your keyboard, you can also select that as well. Again, this is what I like, so this is what I'm going to select. Click on add, right? And now let's click on close. Now let's test this shortcut by doing Control Command S. If this application opened, you did it the right way. If it didn't open, you did it the wrong way. Restart from the beginning. This step in particular. Now, how we're gonna use this application. I'm gonna explain this when we are doing the submission for lab number 2. So for the time being, simply close this and move on. Now we're gonna do with step 7. It says install VS Code, but we already did that. What we're gonna do is configure VS Code so that we can have all the extensions that we had before. So again, just gonna click on the Windows logo, on the Ubuntu logo on the corner, and I'm gonna type code. You can also just type VS Code. It's gonna do the same thing. Now that we launch the application, perfect. Now let's click here on settings, not settings, sorry, extensions. Now we're gonna look for the markdown extensions that we need. So the first one is markdown all-in-one by Yu Zhang. Sorry if I butchered the name of the programmer. And then markdown alone. And now markdown PDF right here. Then we have markdown preview enhance, PDF preview, analytic signal. There you go, perfect. And then this is not necessary if you don't want to. This is called a spell checker. If you don't want to do it, if you don't want a spell checker in your documents, that's fine. I like it because I do make typos, so there you go, not perfect. And one last one that I like to install is live server. I do this just in case I need to preview any HTML files. Again, not necessary. You're barely gonna use it in my class, but again, it's a very useful add-on to VS Code, so I add it. And we have a very powerful virtual machine, so there is no need on I don't see a reason why not installing it. So again, I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna close VS Code for now. I don't need it open, and I'm gonna keep on scrolling. Now we're gonna do a step number 8. We're gonna set up Git and GitHub. So open a new tab. Just gonna put the new tab on the side here. GitHub.com. Click on sign in and sign in with your GitHub username and password. I'm gonna pause the recording. I'm gonna sign in, and then we're gonna continue. Okie dokie. Now here is my repository. As you can see, it looks almost the same as yours. So now I'm just gonna click on my username at the top, and here we're gonna click on settings. Then here we're gonna click on SSH and GPG keys. Now what we're gonna do is click on add new key. We're gonna give this new key a title. I'm gonna call this one Mac VM Ubuntu 24.04. Leave this window as is because we're gonna paste something here. So again, I'm gonna switch to my virtual machine here, and then I'm going to type the following commands. So this one here is my GitHub username. So I'm gonna copy, I'm gonna paste this here, and then my username, which in quotations, which is Robert Alberto 0713. Now you might be wondering, Professor, what is my username? How do I know what my GitHub username is? Well, go back to GitHub. Just gonna open a new tab here, github.com. You see this? This is your username, and this is your repository name, right? You can also see your username here by going to your profile. This is your username right here. This is the repository name, right? So I'm gonna minimize that, press enter here, and now we're gonna set up our email address. Again, we're gonna repeat, the command is almost the same. And here in quotations, we put our email address, the one that we used for signing in to GitHub just a couple of minutes ago. Press enter, and we're almost done. Next, we're going to generate an SSH key. So all we have to do is use this command over here. In quotations, you put your email address here. So I'm going to paste this part, and then in double quotes or single quotes is fine. I'm going to type in my email address here. Make sure that you don't have a typo in your email address. So double check it. Perfectly fine. Press enter. Here, simply press enter. If you want extra security, you can add a password or a passphrase to this key. I'm not going to add that, so I'm just going to press enter over here, but you're welcome to do so. Now, you're going to copy this command here, and you're going to double click to select the entire output of the command. Click on copy, go back to your GitHub configuration, GitHub setup. In this tab where we have the SSH key, I'm simply going to paste this information. Now, make sure you do not have any trailing spaces. Like in my case here, I have a new line here. I'm going to press backspace, right? Let me select. Yep, no new spaces, no trailing spaces. Everything is good. Click on add SSH key. Now you can close this part here. We're not going to need it. I'm going to close this tab here because I'm not going to need it right now. Now we're going to test our connection to GitHub. So copy this command, paste it in your in your terminal. When you're prompted to this question, you need to answer with the whole word, yes. So press enter. You're going to see this output. If you see this output, your GitHub connection was done successfully. If you don't, then repeat the process from the beginning because something went haywire. Okay. Now we're going to clone our GitHub repository. So I'm just going to clear my screen. And if you want, you can just use this command over here. I'm just going to copy this. Notice that at this point, it starts with templated data, right? Your GitHub username here, / your repository name here. So I'm only going to copy it until this point. Paste. Now, what is my username? You know exactly where to find it. And then / and what is the repository name that I want to clone? CIS 106, right? Like that, lowercase, perfect. Press enter. If you see this output, you did it correctly. Otherwise, you have a typo. Very, very simple. Now you're going to notice that if you open the file manager, you have a folder called CIS 106. This is your local repository. So I'm going to open it and notice that these files are the exact same files that are in GitHub. That is what we want. Now, every time that we do a change in our computer, we are going to change it and then send it to GitHub and vice versa, so that GitHub is synchronized with our virtual machine. Now, we're going to close that and let's move on. Scroll down and time to submit this lab. Now we're gonna prepare our lab 2 submission, and that's good because we're gonna see how this Git and GitHub and our virtual machine, how this whole setup comes into place. So I'm gonna close my terminal. I am going to close the settings page. I don't need it anymore. I'm gonna click on the menu and I'm gonna type VS Code. One thing that I would like to do is that I'm gonna add VS Code to my favorites, pin to dash, so that it's always available here. I'm also going to disable notifications. Not a big fan of that. Now, we're going to click on Open Folder. There are several ways in which you can do this. You can click on Open Folder from here. You can click on File and then Open Folder, right? Just like you did on Windows, not different from lab number 1. Click on CIS 106 and then click on open. From this point on, you are always working inside the CIS 106 folder when you are submitting stuff for my class. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Trust on authors. I'm inside my CIS 106 folder. I can close this welcome screen. Now, if you encounter the same problem that I did right now, where VS Code is just frozen, it freezes every time I want to do anything. Now, I'm going to force quit this. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to reboot my virtual machine. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to open my terminal, and I'm going to force it. I'm going to do sudo tail init 6. This is the same as doing sudo reboot. So sudo tail init 6, enter. Type your password. Let's reboot the virtual machine. Okie dokie. Let's sign in. And let's give VS Code another test. Again, open folder, 106, click on open. Everything seems to be fine. Just gonna close that and try to open one of the files. Yep, everything worked fine. Wait until this process finishes, because if this gives us an error message, I have a solution for you. Oops, it worked perfectly fine, so we can finish that. Now, let's open our lab instructions. I'm just gonna put this side by side. There you go. First, we're gonna organize our repository, right? That's the first thing that we're gonna do. And there you go, perfect. That's the first thing that we're gonna do. What do we mean by organizing our repository? All of these files like this, just laying there, are a mess. As the semester move along, more and more files are gonna be added here. A messy repository, a messy project is very difficult to manage. So we're gonna organize this into folders that make sense. So let's get to work on that. How are we gonna do it? Simply just create new folders, move the files into the respective folders. So we're gonna open a file manager. We're gonna go inside our, actually, you know what? I'm gonna open a new desktop. So I'm just gonna go here. This is like a new workspace environment. And I'm going to go into CIS 106. And here I need several folders. So the first folder is week reports, right? One word. You can do it like this, or you can do it like this, right? One word. Just make sure it's one word. Spaces are gonna be problematic for you down the line. So week reports. Now next folder will be labs. What else do we do in the class? We also do notes. Good. And we also have a folder for our cheat sheet. Again, camel case. Cheat sheets. That's it, right? So let's organize this stuff. Now, this screenshot was part of lab 1. So I'm going to go full screen. Let me see if I can make this bigger, which of course I can. Come on. Perfect. This screenshot was part of week report 1. So I'm going to move it to the week reports folder. This, the John Doe resume. Just press control. There you go. Again, click one file, press the command key, and then you can select multiple files by just clicking on the files. So resume. What else here is accessible quickly? Ubuntu. All of these files are part of lab 1. So I'm just gonna move it to the labs folder. This is the markdown cheat sheet. This goes into the cheat sheets folder. This is notes. Sorry, notes. This go into the notes folder. Ubuntu logo, Ubuntu Desktop, Ubuntu.txt, Ubuntu PDF, Ubuntu.md. All of these go inside week reports. The Slack screenshot is, oh, sorry, that was a mistake. We need to undo that. These guys, let me cut that and put it back here. These guys go inside labs. There you go, perfect. This goes inside week reports, week report 1, week report 2, week report 2, week report 1. All of this goes inside week reports. Perfect. So now we're gonna go inside labs. Here we're gonna have a lot of more stuff too. So we need to create folders for these files as well. So I'm gonna create a new folder called lab1, and all of these files go inside lab1. By the way, to select everything, all I did was Command A, right? And then I press the Command key and unselected whatever I don't need. This is not different from your regular computer. It's not different from macOS or Windows, right? These are functionality that are very similar across all operating systems. So I'm gonna click on New Folder. I'm gonna create a folder called Lab2. This is gonna be for my Lab2 files. Now here in Notes, again, I have Notes 1, I have Notes 2. So I'm gonna create a new folder called Notes 1 and a new folder called notes. Sorry, let me rename this notes 2. So notes 1, notes 2, and notes 2. Now I'm gonna go to week reports, and again we're gonna do the same thing. WR1, just to keep things simple, right? WR standing from week reports. And now another folder for WR2, and then move these files over here, right? Now that we have organized our repository, it's a good time for me to tell you that if you don't organize your repository, I start taking points off for every lab that you submit with your repository looking like a mess, right? I'm not gonna swim in a repository of files to try to find a single file that you submit. That's not gonna happen, right? I like to swim in the ocean and I like to swim in a pool. I don't like to swim in folders. I do not like to swim in a project. So again, if you don't fix your repository, I will start taking points off. So let me close this up, open VS Code, and notice that our files have been organized already here as well, right? Perfect. Now I'm gonna go to labs, lab number 2, and here I'm gonna create a new file. Make sure you have this selected, and the file is called lab2.md. Notice that you need the file extension, don't forget that. The title for this is gonna be lab2, and now I need to do virtual machine settings. And now all we need is two screenshots over here. So screenshot 1, just gonna put a line break here, and then screenshot number 2 and another line break here. So screenshot 1 is gonna be for CPU fetch, and then the name of the file is gonna be CPU fetch.png. Now the next one will be a script, and the file name is gonna be a script.sh, right? Now let's save this by click on File, Save All. We need to take these screenshots now, right? And we're gonna place them right here in the lab2 folder. So for this, the first screenshot, all we have to do is run this command here, CPU fetch, right? Normally we will be the whole thing, but unfortunately for Ubuntu server, this part doesn't work. So we're just gonna do CPU fetch. So copy, actually, just come here. Believe we have, no, yeah, no, we don't, we closed it already. So here, let's click on terminal and let's type CPU fetch. That's it. Take a screenshot of this. I'm gonna do Control Command S to launch my screenshot application. I'm gonna switch from a screen to selection, and then I'm gonna click on take a screenshot. Then I'm gonna select the area of the screen that I want, which is just this part here. And I'm gonna change the name to CPU fetch.png, and the location where it's gonna be saved is gonna be changed to other. Then I'm gonna click on home, CIS 106, labs, lab number 2, and then open. click on save. Now let's do the next screenshot. I'm gonna clear my screen, and now I'm gonna simply copy this command here, and I'm gonna paste it in my terminal. Press enter, and now simply take another screenshot. So we're gonna do control command S, selection, take a screenshot, and then select the part of the screen that matters to us. Sorry, let me cancel that. Take a screenshot again. Just came out wrong, and there we go. Again, we're gonna change the name to a script.sh. The folder is already selected because it's always gonna remember the last folder you selected. And then click, oh, sorry, not sh. No, 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 no. We don't want that off. I just broke this. Click this, click on rename, and then change this to .png. There you go. I made a terrible mistake there. And probably this screenshot doesn't even, yep, this screenshot is completely broken. I'm gonna have to take it again. So let's delete this file, delete, move to trash. Let's go back again here. Control Command S. We need to click on selection, take a screenshot, and there we go. A script.png. Save. There you go. That's the right name. So now that I have taken my screenshots, I'm gonna preview the markdown file because I need to make sure that this looks good. So we're gonna do markdown preview enhance, and I'm noticing one problem already. This is supposed to be PNG, but CPU fetch is not working. CPU, because the name of the file is incorrect. So I'm gonna right click on the file. I'm gonna rename it to CPU fetch. There you go. Close. And I'm going to click on reload, and there we go. My preview is looking exactly how I intended it. It's perfect. Now we're gonna close this, and we're gonna convert the file to PDF. So I'm gonna click on file, save all, right click, export to PDF. Now if you get this error message here, don't worry, there is a solution to this. So if you go to the instructions and you scroll down, you're gonna notice that there is a little warning here, non-issues. Now, if PDF Converter doesn't work, install Chromium. So click on copy, open a terminal, and install Chromium. Oh wow, I was paused all this time and I did the whole thing. Okay, so I have to redo the whole thing again. Oh, that's crazy. I believe that I paused the video when I was in the section where I was showing you how to deal with the problem with Chromium. So let me turn on the virtual machine and redo that little section one more time. Oh, okay, so let's go here, full screen, and let's type our password. Okay, so again, let me open VS Code, put it on the side, and now let's go to terminal. Perfect. Now type the command where is, and then type Chromium browser. This is gonna give you this path here, which is what you need. Click on copy. Now open settings, and then search for markdown PDF. Scroll down, and you're gonna find something called markdown PDF executable. Let's keep on going right here. Markdown PDF executable path. And here you're gonna paste that Chromium browser file path. Once you do that, you can close the settings, and now you can easily just right click, and let me delete this file so that you see what I mean. I'm gonna delete, move to trash, And I'm gonna delete this, delete, move to trash. Now you can right click and do Markdown PDF. And then when you click here, you're gonna notice that the PDF file has been created successfully, right? See, this takes a little bit for some reason, and sometimes it just never finishes, and you get stuck with the temporary HTML file here. That's fine. Later on, you can delete it if you want. It's no big deal because how this extension work by converting your HTML file, your Markdown file into HTML, and then converting that into Markdown. But as long as this is working, you're fine. Now we're gonna do the VS Code, the git command, so that we can send this information to GitHub, all the changes. So we're gonna do git at git pull first. It's gonna download any changes if there are any. This is good because this command is gonna make sure that whatever changes were made, even if they were outside of our virtual machine, they are in our computer. So now we're gonna do git add period, git commit -m, finished lab 2. These commands are in the instructions too, by the way. And then git push. And you can already tell what git push does. It takes whatever changes we made and sends them to GitHub. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to open Firefox to show you what I mean. So let's go to github.com, open your repository, and voila, it looks nice and organized how we specifically want it. So we're going to go to labs, lab number 2, lab number 2, the markdown, and this markdown file is what you're going to give me. Make sure that the screenshots are visible. This URL you're gonna submit in Blackboard, and the file that you're gonna submit in Blackboard is the PDF file. So you upload this PDF file, right, and you give me the URL to this lab2.md file. That's what you are going to do for me. Now I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna sign into Blackboard so that I show you what I mean with an actual example. Okay, so I'm gonna click on lecture number 2, assignments, lab 2. This is the Dropbox, right? Then here, let me see if I can do a student view. Yeah. Okay, so start lecture 2, assignments, lab 2, view instructions. And here, you're gonna copy the URL, paste it right here. Sorry, did the wrong shortcut. And then you're gonna attach a file, which is gonna be here, home, CIS 106, labs, lab 2, the PDF file. Click on open, click on save, and now you can submit. And then you hit on submit. And that's gonna be for pretty much every lab. So I'm just gonna exit, discard, done. Now, how do you turn off your virtual machine? Do not just click on the exit button here. That's not good. You want to avoid breaking your virtual machine. So I'm just gonna close this, close my application, and then then just power off my virtual machine. Click on power off, and you are good to go. Now you can close. And that's it. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Have a good one.